Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Josh Green, of course, who was announced a few weeks ago or last week that he will be with HMD Motorsports and advancing on to Indy Lights in 2023. How's it going, man?
Very good. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So kind of talk about how your season went for you in Indy Pro. Of course, you were with Turn 3 Motorsport, if I'm not mistaken. How do you think your Indy Pro 2000 season went for you?
I was extremely happy with my performance, and I think as a team, we, put on a really strong fight. Obviously, starting the season off with a win and a pole at St. Pete, and then continuing to pick up a bunch of podiums throughout the season. A lot of very strong, consistent results, and a lot of fights to the field after some sort of rough qualifyings here and there. But I felt very refined by the end of the season, and I feel extremely prepared to move up.
Yeah, for sure. Really kind of going into what's it like to get this opportunity with HMD this year in 2023 to go to Lights?
Yeah, I think it was probably about 2-3 months ago that I really started thinking like, all right, how am I going to get into Lights next year? And the biggest fight is generally with money more than anything. It's about sort of finding the funding from sponsors and stuff like that. And then once I got to a point where I was like, all right, we're going to be able to do this, then I really started, hunting for teams and stuff like that. And it's been huge that HMD has given me the opportunity to join them and to, show their belief in me as a driver. And I'm just excited to see what we can do next year. I try not to put expectations on anything, but I'm expecting to get the most out of myself every weekend.
And I didn't know, are you wearing a Team USA shirt?
I am, yeah.
Awkwardly enough, they just announced the 3 finalists that were out there today too. Of course, Elliot Budzinski, Thomas Strange, and God, I hope I said that right. And then William Ferguson are the 3 winners for this season. They're actually literally out in the UK right now, getting ready for the Formula Ford Festival and the Walter Hayes Trophy out at Silverstone. Going back to when you were able to do that a few years ago, what was that like for you?
It's a massive experience. I was actually just working with them for a bit on the sim with the current crop of Team USA guys, doing some sim work and kind of getting them more comfortable with the European style of racing, I'd say, which is slightly different than over here. I think more so in Formula Ford than it is in anything else. When you're over there, I think the biggest thing, honestly, from the outside, obviously, we get to do 2 very cool races and it's an amazing experience, but also you get to go to another country and live on your own. And I think on a life experience side, that's very big and very useful. I was 16 when I went over there, and I'd been to the UK a bunch because my mom's from the UK, but I had never really experienced being away from my family and kind of living on my own for so long. And obviously we were living with the Dempseys, which was amazing, but it was a very different experience. So yeah, I think that's extremely important and has been very important for my development as a person. And then when you go to the driving side, it's a different program. The way they go about it, it's very, very professional. And with what it is now, Low Density Racing, or I think it's called Ammonite now. Yeah. You have plenty of testing time and plenty of time to really get acclimated to the cars and the circuits. We show up to Brands Hatch on, I think, Tuesday, and race on Sunday. So you have a while to figure it out. But also there's 115 cars when I was there, and a 10th separated, I don't know, 20 cars. So you could sway the wrong way pretty hard if you messed up. You blank at the wrong point on the lap and you're suddenly 20th from fighting for pole. So yeah, it's close racing. It's really cool.
So going into this year, what are your plans for this off season to kind of really get acclimated in Indy Lights? What are you going to expect when you go there?
My expectation is always just to get 110% out of myself. I have a very big belief in my talent and my skill and what I'm going to be able to get out of the car. I haven't actually driven the Indy Lights car yet, but that's coming up soon with the Chris Griffiths test. So I'm very, very excited to get in one of the cars. Biggest thing for me in the off season is continuing to keep that athleticism up, working very, very hard in the gym to continue to grow strength and endurance. The Firestone, we're now moving on to the Firestone for Indy Lights in 23. And from what I've heard from a lot of other drivers, including Peter Dempsey, the team owner at Turn 3, who raced in Indy Lights, won the Freedom 100. Back then when they were running the Firestone tire, it generates so much more lateral grip that the cars become a lot harder to drive physically. So currently the lights car from on the Cooper compared to the Indy Pro is actually not a huge step up physically from what I've heard. But I'm preparing for when we get the Firestone and the car is that much more hooked up in the middle of the corner and the steering weight and the lateral load all gets higher and higher. Yeah, just making sure that I'm in the place physically where the longer race distances aren't going to hurt me.
And for those who may not know what kind of Josh is talking about here, Firestone, of course, will take over as tire provider for Indy Lights for next year. Of course, IndyCar took over promotion of the Indy Lights series last year. And of course, Firestone will be the official tire taking over for Cooper. Obviously, they'll still be in the 3 lower series, of course, the series that are ran by Anderson Promotions. So how exciting is it to meet, work with HMD and Mike and everybody there?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's a proper race team. Coming from proper race teams, it's a continuation on the ladder series where every year you move up, you get a bigger car. There's more in-depth engineering. There's more mechanics. But Indy Lights feels now like it's a small IndyCar program. Where you have multiple mechanics on one car, multiple engineers. There's a lot more, I guess, let's say openness to the regulations, even though it is still spec. There's more things we can change, for example, like the gearbox and stuff like that. And we have push to pass, so like an overtaking aid, which is quite cool. But yeah, I mean, in a way, it's not any different, right? Like you have your engineer, you have your data, and you kind of go through your program. But there's just a lot more steps in the program and things you can do to both help and hurt yourself in a way.
Yeah. And I know this doesn't really affect you, but the IndyCar schedule just came out as of time of recording. Not much change to it. What do you think about? I mean, it's going to be similar to what you guys go to. Of course, the Indy Lights schedule is not out yet. I'm sure it will be soon. But what do you think? A lot of the similar events that I think that might be on your schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think the IndyCar season this year was amazing. Like, the championship came down to the last race. It was a pretty, I don't know. I think the new circuits they're adding have all been awesome. Street circuits are super cool. I'm very excited to see the new Detroit. Obviously loved Belle Isle. I think Belle Isle was very special and it's sad to see it go, but interested to see sort of what this new circuit has to show for itself. Yeah, I'm just hoping, obviously the Indy Lights schedule right now is still awesome. And I'm going to get to go to a lot of circuits I've never been to before on the road to Indy,
Right.
But slightly crossing my fingers that maybe they add something for the light schedule to go somewhere else cool. But you never know. Like, obviously there's talk of it every year, and with Penske owning the series, stuff could change, but we'll see. Even the current Indy Light schedule is awesome. And I think I'm most looking forward to Nashville. I love street circuits, so I think Nashville's quite cool.
Yeah, I think being from Detroit, being from Michigan, I should say. I know a lot of people are excited about IndyCar returning back to downtown Detroit, so that'll be a fun one in June. But anyway, Josh Green, thank you so much for coming on and spending a few minutes with us, and congrats on congrats on going to Indy Lights, and look forward to seeing you compete, and we'll have you on again sometime. How about that?
Yeah, thank you very much.